So for most of you, Kingdom Come Deliverance II barely even needs an introduction. Playing it for any duration of time, it becomes abundantly clear just how intricate and detailed the game is. In essentially every way, it rivals some of the best games made by Rockstar and even begins to exceed them. Now this game comes from Warhorse Studios, a Czech developer that was founded in 2011, with its only two games being Kingdom Come Deliverance, released in 2018, and its sequel, Kingdom Come Deliverance II, being released in 2025. But before talking about the sequel, I just want to brush over the first game and how the creation of it served as a solid foundation for what was to come. Kingdom Come Deliverance is set in the medieval kingdom of Bohemia and takes place during a war in 1403 during the time of King Wenceslas IV. After mercenaries raid his village, Henry, the character you play as, joins the service of Lord Radzig, who leads a resistance movement against Hungarian King Sigismund. As Henry pursues justice, so to speak, he becomes involved in an effort to restore Wenceslas to the throne. Now with that being set up, the development wasn't exactly smooth sailing. Daniel Vavra, the co-founder of Warhorse Studios, brought together a small team and pitched to many major investors in Czech Republic. His attempts weren't really working and he was planning on just scrapping the idea as a whole when a Czech billionaire by the name of I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name, but here it is. This Czech billionaire made it so that a prototype for a game could be funded, and after what amounted to a year and a half of development, Warhorse planned to pitch to international investors and try their luck that way. This unfortunately didn't pan out either, and so they made a Kickstarter campaign as somewhat of a last-ditch effort. Nowadays, Kickstarter is often slated as a platform that showcases falsely advertised products and games that will realistically never release, but fortunately for us, this worked out. Anyway, long story short, the game was made for a total of $36.5 million, which is actually very impressive given the scope of the game. With that being said though, it had a lot of rough edges. Its technical state wasn't exactly desirable, and there was a significant amount of bugs plaguing the game, especially for the Xbox version. Not that it even really matters anymore, since Xbox is just becoming less and less of a viable option, but that's besides the point. Still though, a lot of people enjoyed the game and how well it immersed you in Henry's story and Bohemia itself. There were some games set in a similar time period, but none were this effective as Kingdom Come Deliverance in terms of making you actually feel like a medieval soldier. With the more subjective mechanics such as the save system and game mechanics that served realism over convenience, it was a thing that players either loved or hated. Irrespective of that though, those mechanics, amongst other things that made an identity for the game, served to create the core of Kingdom Come Deliverance II. So, to summarise the release of Kingdom Come Deliverance II, it came out in February 2025 and was very positively received on a large scale, to the extent that it was recently nominated for Game of the Year. Admittedly, Expedition 33 is the frontrunner, and the results kind of will already be over by the time I'm done with this video, so I'm curious how that'll go, but before its release, Kingdom Come was and still is many people's top choice for the best game that's released this year. Anyways, the game sits at 93% very positive on Steam, with more recent reviews totaling 97% positive. So suffice to say, people love this game. It does everything the first game does but better, and that brings me into what the game arguably does best: immersion. So immersion is a tricky thing to quantify. It can mean many things to many different people. For example, getting into your starship and flying across galaxies in No Man's Sky can feel immersive. Is it realistic though? Not really. But it still does a job at making you feel as if you're endlessly flying around space. For Kingdom Come Deliverance II, immersion generally comes in the form of how realistic all aspects of the game are, even if the trade-off is a more difficult experience for newer players. But first off, I want to talk about the immersive aspects that don't affect moment-to-moment gameplay, but rather shape the world around you. A lot of open world games can feel like you're simply plopped on a map and you explore the environment as you go along, but similar to games such as Red Dead Redemption 2, it feels like you're in an ecosystem, one that creates the feeling it will continue with or without you being there. The forests are uneven and dense, and it's easy to get lost in them, with the paths and roads going alongside them, maintaining the appearance of being worn and sewn into the environment rather than just being placed on top of it. The world is so well made, partially due to the fact that monuments and some of the landscape are modelled after real-life locations in Czech Republic. In turn, tourism in these areas has gone up significantly since the game's release, and admittedly, I've never been to the Czech Republic, but if I go one day, I will almost definitely go to these locations too. The game is also visually stunning due to it being made in CryEngine, which you may recognise as it was also used for the creation of Crysis, Hunt Showdown, Prey and Far Cry, just to name a few. In order to play the game at the recommended level, the specifications can be a little high, but if you're able to play on a high-end machine, the game is genuinely stunning, and many people, myself included, find it to be one of the most graphically impressive games released to date. Immersion can also come in the forms of Kingdom Come's NPCs, some of the most realistic I have personally seen. All of the NPCs have routines, meaning you can follow them around, and they'll do random tasks or other things such as working in a field or changing routes as a guard, depending on what time of day it is. NPCs even go indoors and seek shelter if the weather changes and it gets stormy. With that being said, your behaviour also directly impacts how they react to your presence for a duration of time, as certain actions will have shopkeepers raise their prices and guards be more alert, whilst others make the characters become more positive of memory. Like in the first game, you also get treated differently depending on your clothing and armour. NPCs will make offhand comments about it, and even something like how often you bathe will impact your dialogue and general interactions. A lot of these things aren't solely unique to Kingdom Come Deliverance II, as similar feats have been made in GTA 5, Red Dead 2 and Cyberpunk 2077, but an important thing to note is that Kingdom Come was made on a significantly smaller budget. There isn't an absolute confirmed number for the budget of the second game, but it's estimated to be around $40 million, something that is rumoured to be an accurate number, as the co-founder for the game stated that it had already broken even with just a day of release, selling 1 million copies in that time period. To put that into context, and bear in mind these are all approximate numbers, GTA 5 had a budget of $265 million, Red Dead 2 had a budget between $370 to $540 million, a big gap in numbers, I know, but unfortunately that's all I could find. And then Cyberpunk 2077 had a budget of a little over $300 million. So even if you were extra generous to the other games and suggested that Kingdom Come Deliverance II costed upwards of $100 million, it'd still be a monumental feat given how much they achieved on the budget they used. I'm keeping this all relatively short as to not take up too much time in your day, but I haven't even scraped the surface on so many other parts of the game, such as the extremely high quality motion capture, sound design, depth of the combat system and enemy AI, the attention to tiny details sprinkled throughout every corner of the game, and a lot more. Kingdom Come Deliverance II isn't for everybody. If you don't like RPGs or games that offer a sense of realism, then it may not be for you, and that's okay. But if it sounds like something you'd want to try, then I highly recommend it. Its base price is a little lower than a full price game, although here in the UK you are still getting ripped off as it's 10 to 15% higher than other similar countries, but that's besides the point. Its lowest recorded price is 40% off. I'd argue that's a pretty great deal for a game that if you end up enjoying, you'll easily sink dozens of hours into. Anyway, that's all. I appreciate you hearing my thoughts about the game. It looks like this video is going to be releasing after the Game Awards, and whilst it's relatively unlikely to win Game of the Year, it's been nominated for a reason, and for that I applaud Warhorse Studios for such an ambitious project. That's everything I have to say though, so thank you for watching to the end.